So the other guy's sitting in Jessica's old Zoom, so I gotta get somewhere to.
Which would make sense because she
Yeah.
was handling the hearings back when it started.
I need to get in there though. How can I do that? I think my Polycommon 1 is working. I need to go dial in there and tell him to dial into you.
Okay.
You want me to? He was given that information.
Yeah, I don't want to use this computer.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to have to log him out and make him log back in. I could do that, but.
Okay, so Mr. Yasso,
I'll be right
can
back.
you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
You want me to go to the other room?
No, actually, Mr. Berg is in the wrong courtroom. He's in the magistrate's courtroom that you would have been in for the first hearing.
Yeah, I was in there right now, and that's why I felt like something was off, so I called in, and they gave me this room number to come into.
Ah, okay. So Mr. Berg's having the same difficulty, and we're working on that, and we'll get with you as soon as Mr. Berg gets here. Okay.
Okay, so just stay here, right? For now. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll only be a few minutes.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
All the proof that I provided in the past, I know this this meeting was way after the first one. Am I supposed to like refresh and resend that, or is that stuff that's already on file for this hearing?
Well, I think I have everything that was sent that I'm aware of anyway, but I can tell you what that is.
Yeah. There'd have been a disclaimer sign and some insurance denial.
Okay, so an insurance denial, and what was the other thing?
The disclaimer sign that we talked about in the first meeting. You couldn't find it in the email?
The disclaimer sign, yeah. So that would be it?
Yeah, on my end, yes.
Okay. And from Mr. Berg, I have, there's kind of a timeline of his understanding of the incident and some records from Bill Marsh.
Yeah. I think he provided those on the first meeting as well. And I think in our first meeting, you wanted him to find out if the part is aftermarket, and then also the year of the vehicle was kind of like, it's older than what my disclaimer sign said. There was something you wanted him to look up, but.
Was that me, or was that the magistrate Jessica Ullman?
I think you said something to him about, well, just find out if your running boards are aftermarket, but it looks like regardless, your vehicle's over the 7 years or older, which might not help you. That's what you were telling him, but we were supposed to meet again.
All right, that sounds like another judge or magistrate, because I don't think I would have recalled that.
Okay.
see Mr. Berg now. Mr. Berg, are you able to hear me? This is Judge Cooney. I'm not hearing you. So I wonder if you remove the headphones, if that might make a difference.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep,
All right.
That's perfect. I'm waiting for my court recorder here.
Okay.
And sorry for the confusion about zooming in this morning. I guess Mr. Yasso had a similar issue. And Mr. Yasso did ask about exhibits, and what he has is the disclaimer sign and the insurance denial from Frankenmuth Insurance. And on your side, I have let's see, the timeline of incidents with Bill Marsh records. And there's a service order parts list and other records from Bill Marsh. And then there is one picture of the running board. It says running board ripped metal area. And that's it. So with that, do I have all the exhibits from both sides?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is a small claims hearing, and so what I say is final, and the parties will each have a brief opportunity to make an opening statement, and then you can present other evidence, or which could be a document or a witness, but it looks like it's just the two of you here. So any facts that you're going to talk about would need to be testified to under oath. And so let's see. So Mr. Berg, it's your burden of proof as the plaintiff to convince the court that you have a valid complaint. So why don't I have you make your opening statement first, and if you could limit it to maybe just a couple of minutes to give me an idea what sort of evidence you intend to present.
Are you?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. All I did is stopped in for a simple car wash. Midway through it, something happened to the track system. There was a malfunction. The car couldn't move. The attendant came in and had me power my car up to get over the malfunction. He resent me back through the car wash again to finish the car wash. And after the second time through with no incident, I happened to get out of the car and noticed I had a 6-inch gouge sticking out of the side of my running board. I told the attendant, he got a clipboard with a damage report. And I asked him, where's management? And he says, he's not here. So I waited 8 hours and came in because nobody had contacted me. Mentioned it to him. He wasn't too concerned. He said he'd turn it into insurance. I stopped a week later.
I'm going to stop you there because this is more in the form of testimony. So rather than make an opening statement and have to have you repeat all this, I'm going to swear you in. So if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give and the statements you've already made are true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, put your hand down. So go ahead and continue there.
So anyway, I'd stopped in to see him. He said he would be turning it into insurance. I stopped a week later. He said it was Clovis. I stopped a week later. Still no results. After that, I gave him an estimate, and then I got sick and tired of driving around with a jagged edge sticking out of my running board, waiting to spear somebody in a parking lot, and I got it fixed. And I had not received anything, word from an insurance company.
All right, and as I understand, well, what was the amount of damage to the car? How much did you have to pay to have it fixed?
$700.
All right, and you said there was a malfunction with the auto wash and you had to have your car moved off
Yeah,
the
it stopped.
track somewhere.
It stopped midway in the car wash, and it wasn't going anyplace. And the attendant came in and had me drive out, had me power my car up to drive it out over the obstruction. And I think that's where the damage occurred.
Was your car, there was an attendant on duty then, and did they
Yeah,
guide
there
you
was.
into the car wash?
There was an attendant in the back, and he came out to get me out of the car wash, to drive out of the car wash.
Did the attendant guide you into the car wash in the first place?
No, I'm talking about the end of the car wash.
I understand that, but I'm asking you, did anyone guide you into the car wash, or did you just pull in yourself per
Well,
the
no,
instructions?
it's just you submit some money, and then you drive into the car wash.
Okay. And you did everything that the sign said told you to do as far as pulling in and?
Yeah. Just put the money in the slot and follow the instructions going in.
All right. And is this one of the car washes where you're on a track and it kind of pulls you through the
Yes.
car wash? All
yes.
Right. Okay, were there any statements made about maybe you pulled in the wrong way or you were on the track wrong?
No.
Okay, so as far as you know, you did everything right and there was a malfunction. Was there any statement about maybe the size of the truck or something that was a problem?
No, just going through a regular car wash.
And this was the driver's side of the truck, is that correct?
My vehicle, yes.
And had there been any damage to the running board prior to that incident?
No.
Okay. We're going to give Mr. Yasso an opportunity, if he wants, to question you further. Mr. Yasso, did you have any questions for Mr. Berg?
No, but I'd like to give you my statement when you're ready.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Berg, is there anything else you want to testify to?
I'd get my car washed 1 to 2 times a week, and that's probably 7 years of 400 to 500 times. And this is the first time anything's ever happened.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Yasso, if you could raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, put your hand down. Go ahead and tell me what you'd like me to know.
So when going through the car wash, we do have an attendant up front, which guides people into the car wash. And there is an attendant in the back, which dries off the vehicle and makes sure everybody gets out, and it's a final touch to the car wash where they dry the vehicle off. So I think he was helped by the guy at the end that drove the vehicle would dry the vehicle off. But when pulling in, when I spoke to my attendants, they said that when people move their steering wheel or move around, they could get stuck in the car wash because the tire stops them from driving through if they were touching their steering wheel. That's what they assumed what happened with the car wash. But besides that, the vehicle has some non-factory items, which is the running boards. He's saying that he bought it with a vehicle like that, but it's not a standard running board. So when we have non-factory items coming through the car wash, you can go through the car wash 100 times and something may not happen. But these things, that one incident when something happens is part of the reason why the insurance company makes us put a sign out there to insure us, because this is a common practice in the car wash industry. Non-factory items tend to break. They're not designed for the vehicle completely from the factory. That's one thing. Another thing is, over time, vehicles have wear and tear. And when I saw his vehicle, I looked at the passenger side running board. There is a little space between the plastic molding and the metal running board. And it looks like anything can catch on to that little space. And I think that space is there because of wear and tear and time. And I feel as if that is probably why the damage happened. That's why we have a sign where after 7 years or older, there is wear and tear on vehicles. There's trim, molding, pieces that tend to get loose from the winters and the summers and driving. And that's part of the reason why not everything is covered. There are things that are covered, and I do fix my customers' damages when this stuff happens, but this is something that wasn't covered. And I told them, I reached out to the insurance company. This was in the middle of COVID. I reached out to them twice. Nobody got back to me. Finally, when we had our first meeting, you said to reach out again. I reached out again, which is later during the pandemic. So they finally reached back out and they sent a letter saying that they aren't covering it because of the disclaimer sign. I told them all this before, and this is what I have to say. That's it.
All right, Mr. Berg, any questions for Mr. Yasso?
Checking with other car washes, I asked them about this damage, and they told me they would send me down to get 2 estimates and bring it back, and they would take care of it, regardless of whatever he's saying. So that depends what kind of a business you run.
Right, is the vehicle over the 7 years?
Yeah, it's 7 years. It's in beautiful shape. I have people commenting on it all the time and people that want to buy it.
And did you see the sign that Mr. Yasso testified to?
Yeah, that you might as well, that's so far in, I never pay any attention to that. That's probably 40, 50 feet away from where you pay. But all car washes have that. That's just to protect themselves against schemers coming in, trying to make some money. I just went in to get a car wash.
You said 40, 50 feet.
Well, I don't know.
Inside the car wash?
No, it's just as you enter the car wash.
As you enter, okay.
It's way behind where you pay.
And Mr. Yasso said he did examine your car, and he saw on the passenger side it looked like the running board was there was a space, I guess, between the running board and the vehicle, which to him indicated some kind of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Is that true, or?
I couldn't say. I never noticed it. So.
And Mr. Yasso testified that the running boards were non-factory. Is that true?
No, it come from GM, so that's where he got the car, Bill Marsh.
Some new cars do get running boards installed on them, even though you buy the car new. Sometimes they have aftermarket parts put on. Sometimes you buy a car with bug shields on them. Sometimes there's cars that are sold with plows on them, brand new. It's just, that's not a factory running board.
All right, is there anything else you want to say, Mr. Yasso?
No, besides, I do cover damages that happen in the car wash. There are things that happen. There are antennas that break. There are wiper blades. There are side mirrors every now and then that will break. I replace them for my customers because I like to keep my customers. We wash between 5,000 and 6,000 cars a month. We don't have this type of stuff that happens for no reason. There was some wear and tear on that vehicle. The vehicles, the running boards are not non-factory, and things can happen when that's in place. And that's why these signs are put outside of all car washes. And that's all I have to say.
All right, Mr. Berg, anything else you'd like to add?
No, not that I can think of.
And you said you never replaced the running board. You bought it from the Acadia from Bill Marsh, and those are the running boards that came with the vehicle.
Yeah, I come with, yes.
All right. Okay, well, I've heard all of the evidence in the case, and what I would say is I think both of you testified truthfully and honestly, and I don't have any reason to suspect that anything that was told to me this morning is incorrect. So then it comes down to more or less a matter of law, and trying as I might, I did not find a single case that makes the assumption or the holding that a damage disclaimer sign is an absolute defense to a negligence claim, which is essentially what this is. And what it comes down to is this court has to assess negligence and whether there's any negligence on the part of the defendant, and also whether there's any contributory negligence on the part of the plaintiff. If you think about it, if the equipment malfunctions, then that could not absolve a business owner of liability. In fact, most of the cases I reviewed involve serious injury to individuals, and obviously just sticking a sign up doesn't necessarily change the law when it comes to negligence and what each party's responsibilities are. Now, that's not to say that the damage disclaimer doesn't have any effect. In this case, the disclaimer indicates non-factory items are possible reasons why the car wash might cause damage to a vehicle, but in this case, Mr. Berg wouldn't have been aware of that. I'm sure if I drove a car off a parking lot from a dealership, I wouldn't be expecting that that is the sort of non-standard equipment that might cause a problem in a car wash, particularly when you're having your car washed a couple times every week and there are no issues with it. So I don't find that to be some sort of contributory negligence on the part of Mr. Burke. Now, there's also the part of the damage disclaimer sign about 7 years or older. We're not going to guarantee anything. Now, there's been testimony, both sides agree the car is over 7 years, although it's apparently in really good shape. And that there was no damage to this running board prior to the incident. And there's also been testimony that at least Mr. Yasso says he looked at the passenger side running board and there is some displacement there that he thinks may have caused this, or it could have been Mr. Berg steering the car that could have caused the damage, but there's no evidence of that. It's just a guess about what happened. And so the question for this court, is there some negligence on the part of Mr. Berg that might be a reason to attribute some portion or all of the damages to him steering, or in a way that would have caused him to go off the track, or to have been negligent in taking his car into the wash at all because it's more than 7 years old, although it's in really good shape. And the running board, you know, even if there was some small displacement, it's probably something, again, that no one would think, oh, this is like a loose fender or a loose piece on the car that is just waiting to be ripped off or something like that. What also concerns me is there is apparently an attendant who was supposed to be at the beginning of the wash, and there's the attendant at the end of the wash. And Mr. Berg indicates that, as he usually does, he steered his car into the wash. It was all self-directed. There was no attendant at the beginning of the wash. And perhaps being off the track is in part because there wasn't an attendant who was guiding the vehicle into the wash.
There always is. I'm sorry.
All right, well, this is the thing. I have to make a decision at some point, and I know that's your testimony, but there was no testimony that was from an attendant that said he was there, or otherwise. So the proofs in this case are closed anyway. I have to make a decision based upon what I've heard, and I gave both of you a full opportunity to be heard. Okay. So, and I know that's your position.
The car wash doesn't start unless
yes. All right, well, the testimony of Mr. Berg is that nobody guided him into the wash. And so looking at all of the evidence together, I can't find that where Mr. Berg was contributorily negligent in some way here. He wasn't driving some old beater. He didn't have what I would consider non-factory equipment on the car. not the sort of thing that you drive away from the dealership. And had an attendant then guiding him in, and I am going to find by a preponderance of the evidence that there was no attendant that was guiding the vehicle, that might have been some cause of what happened here. The claim is supported by the exhibits submitted by the defendant. It did cost him $700. And the fact that the insurance company says that they're not liable, of course, the insurance company has a vested interest in not paying claims. And so I would be arguing with my insurance company about that. And of course, insurance companies don't tell courts what the law is either. So, all right. Again, I find both sides presented credibly and honestly here today, but the preponderance of the evidence, which means simply a 51% more likely than not, is that Mr. Berg is entitled to damages in this case. I am going to assess $700 in damages. There's $115 in cost. And that is after trial and in favor of the plaintiff. Is there anything else today, Mr. Yasso or Mr. Berg?
I wanted to say that the car wash doesn't operate unless there's an attendant that sends the vehicle. So you can't go through the car wash without an attendant up front. The car, his car would have not moved through the car wash. He cannot control the car wash. There's an attendant that controls it. So there is someone up front.
There's a difference between pushing a button though and guiding the car in. Can you say that, well, I've heard all the proofs.
Okay.
But I'm assuming the button that causes the car to go forward is on the wall or inside an office area or something. So that doesn't really answer my question whether someone personally guided the vehicle into the tracks.
Yeah, there was that
and
day.
I've seen it both ways.
Yeah, there was 400 cars washed that day. There was vehicles before him and after him. There's someone operating the car wash right there, pulling everybody in. It's not like there's only one guy driving a vehicle and the car wash wouldn't operate that way. The vehicles wouldn't be moving through the car wash without a person there.
Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword because if there's that many cars going through, is it possible the attendant gets busy and doesn't always assist people with entering the wash or pay attention to what's going on when they enter the wash? So again, by a preponderance of the evidence, I find that the negligence was the cause of the car wash, not Mr. Berg. And so the judgment is for $700, $115 in cost. And let's see, that judgment is to the plaintiff in full. And you will each receive a copy of this order from the clerk's office, and it'll be filed with the clerk as well. We're all set for today. Feel free to sign off. We'll be in recess until our